evening, everyone, depending on what part of the world you're dialing in from. I'm delighted to have this chance to talk with you today about Twitter, something that's gotten quite a lot of attention in recent months, and particularly the idea of using Twitter within the enterprise, within business organizations. So we've got some slides that we're going to be going through for the next hour or so. There should be ample time for questions and discussion at the end of the presentation, and there are also plenty of opportunities for you to pass questions through to Michael Malutis at Comp8 or directly to me. Since this is an area that has been changing fairly rapidly, I actually have made a recent update to the materials that we're looking at right now. And if you go to my blog at www.yourdonreport, it's all one word, yourdonreport.com, you'll see a slightly updated version of this presentation with a couple of new items I found in the last couple of days. But I can't even keep up with the real-time nature of this discussion about Twitter. There was an article in this morning's New York Times that I didn't have a chance to incorporate into the material. But there's plenty of material for us to talk about here. You see the agenda in front of you, hopefully on the screen right now, which may surprise you a little bit. This is supposed to be about Twitter, so why does the agenda start off with a discussion of Web 2.0? Well, the reason for that is that Twitter is one example of a category of tools and services that have recently become popular, known as microblogging, or very narrowly focused, single-purpose tools that are all within the larger domain or universe of so-called Web 2.0, which many of you have certainly heard about over the last few years. And I wanted to spend just a moment reminding you of some of the basic themes of Web 2.0 because they apply very much to Twitter as well. Then we're going to take a look at some key tools and technologies and strategies that are generally true for all Web 2.0 tools before we plunge into some of the details about Twitter itself. You'll see the topics 3, 4, and 5 on the agenda have to do with the use of Twitter and other microblogging tools for 3 different aspects of software development. That was the particular area of enterprise use that I decided to talk about, since I think most of the people participating here probably do work in the IT profession. But interestingly, just after I uploaded the new version of this material last night onto my blog, I got a Twitter message from someone who said that he's looking at using Twitter for the educational marketplace in the realm of teaching. And indeed, people are using it for quite a wide variety of enterprise uses that are not exactly or narrowly focused on the IT department, one of which I'll certainly be showing you a little bit later on. But I'm going to try to make some comments on the use of Twitter for actual software development and for project management of software development projects, as well as the area of process improvement, the activities of finding new and better ways to carry out the software development process before I wrap all of this up with some concluding remarks. So those are the basic agenda items, and I'll start with just a quick summary of the basic themes of Web 2.0. Let me stop for just a moment here and draw your attention to what will probably be kind of a light blue or blue-green text item in the middle of the slide that you're looking at right now. It says YouTube video, as well as the 2 graphical images that you see on this slide. Those are all hyperlinks, and that is, if you visit my blog site at yourdonreport.com, you can download a PDF version of this presentation, and wherever you see blue underlined material or blue bordered material, you'll be able to double-click and retrieve some additional information, including, in this particular case, a wonderful YouTube video by Michael Wesch that provides a good overview of what Web 2.0 is all about. Indeed, many of you, I suspect, are already familiar with the basic concept of Web 2.0. That is, it's a combination of various tools and technologies, of which Twitter is one. And Twitter, as I mentioned earlier, is one of a particular subcategory known as microblogging tools. But by itself, tools and technologies don't make up Web 2.0 and don't really accomplish anything all that useful, whether it's Twitter or any other tool. It's not unless you combine those tools and technologies with various business strategies, particularly things that involve the participation of employees and customers and perhaps former employees and other people outside the corporate boundary, that some interesting things start to happen. And inevitably that raises or introduces a variety of social and cultural trends that we need to be aware of and address as positively and creatively as we possibly can. Because if we're not careful, one of the unpleasant or unfortunate social or cultural trends is a backlash from people who are concerned about possible risks and problems, or who feel threatened by the potential impact of some of these tools. In any case, all of these things, the tools and technologies, the business strategies, the social and cultural trends, drive the individual creation and sharing of content on the Internet. That's what Web 2.0 is generally regarded to be all about. Grassroots, bottom-up creation and sharing of content on the Internet, and Twitter, again, is just one specific form of that that is particularly interesting. I think that's about all we need to say if Web 2.0 happens to be somewhat new for you. But again, the two graphical images that you see on the screen can be double-clicked for additional information if you'd like. Now, there's a perception on the part of some people, perhaps even some who are here with us today, that all of these Web 2.0 things, which include as well blogging and wikis and so forth, and Facebook and MySpace, all of these things are for lonely teenagers or for personal use when you have nothing better to do with your time. But indeed, the emphasis that I want to put on this discussion today is that all of the Web 2.0 tools and technologies and business strategies, et cetera, can be, indeed are beginning to be, focused on more and more general business and customer issues. They really are being used within the enterprise for serious practical purposes. And in particular, they can be focused on the so-called business of developing software and systems. That is, in the world that many of us live in day to day, the IT department of a big company, things like Twitter and other Web 2.0 tools can be used in a very, very practical fashion. And that's particularly true in IT organizations because, though we may not think about it all that much, the IT department or organization in any company, private sector or public sector, does consist of a community. It's a bunch of people interacting with each other. There is a social structure, which may take various forms, and that community does have its own cultural trends, its own unspoken rules and regulations about how people are expected to interact with each other, how they share information, how they make requests and commitments back and forth between one another, and so on. And those are all things that need to be taken into account if we're going to try to make some practical use of some of these new tools and things that have become available. As for the tools and technologies, I'm going to summarize all of that for just a moment. It tends to be the area that a lot of IT professionals focus on for obvious reasons. That's what they do day to day. They write